All right, everybody, back in the Pick Six podcast, video edition and audio edition. That's how we roll now these days. Got the handsome tan face of Pete Prisco on my screen. Makes life a lot better. On my Thursday, for your Friday, I'm Will Brinson. This is the Daily CBS Sports NFL podcast. Reminder that you can get the YouTube version before you get the audio Apple Podcast version, as it's up on youtube.com/CBS Sports pretty quickly after we film this. Also, of course, here as he is for every Picks show, every Picks pod, the master of Sportsline, the Prince of Picks. How about that? Ooh, RJ, I like that. Prince of Picks, RJ White.
Ooh, that's catchy, Will. That's really catchy.
Thank you.
I
guess
if you're the king,
that means I'm the king because we got a leaderboard up right now. Thank you. That's very helpful. Let's go and check that out. I went 4-1 last week. Who knew? 7-3 overall, 70% on my best bets on this podcast. I recommend following until it crashes into a wall and then start fading quickly. RJ 3-2 to go 8-4. It's still 67%. That's great. And Pete, moving on up. 2-2.
Lagging.
What?
Yeah, but you know what? Like I like to say, when the leaves turn brown, I'll be wearing the league crown.
I never get tired of that saying.
Even though we're in South Florida, they never turn brown.
That's right. I gotta get a gutter guy out here at my house. Maybe I gotta go rake some leaves. Maybe I'll do that after we get done with
We've heard that. I heard you do that.
I rake leaves. I like working in my yard. It's cathartic. It's like look, you spend enough time talking to you. I gotta do something.
Yeah. Or in our text chain, one or the other.
Oh God, this text chain is hell on earth. Anyway. Let's dive into the games because we only have a limited amount of time with Pete. He'll hang out and then bounce, and RJ, I will dive into some other games. But we have some best bets to get to, first of all, from Pete, and a high-profile game. The Ravens at the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are -6.5. The over-under is 53. It's moved all over the board. It opened at 51, got up to 55, now settled back down at 53. Pete, I would first ask you, is this game symbolic of the future of football?
In what way? That they're throwing the ball all over the place?
Like Ben and Breeze are out, getting their elbow and,
so it's a changing. In other words, a changing of the guard with the quarterback position. Look, Mahomes changed it last year for him. Sure. I mean, he's a star of stars, so I don't think there's a changing of the guard there. But for Lamar Jackson, it could be, and this is going to be a good proving ground for Lamar Jackson. So far, he's had 2 free passes, 2 free spaces against Miami, who is awful, and Arizona, whose defense is awful. So we'll see this week at Arrowhead. The Chiefs aren't great on defense either, but that's Arrowhead. That's a tough place to play. It's a big game. Mahomes will put pressure on him. That total is strange to me, and call me a fish because it looks fishy, but I'm being fished in. I'm going over with the total as one of my best bets.
I'm going over with the best bet on the total as well. And it's coming out even more. I think by the time we're recording, it's 52.5, sometimes 52. I don't know what people are seeing there. These teams have combined for 150 points scored in 2 games, so I don't know why the total's falling. Both teams played bad offenses in both their games, so the good defensive rankings that they might have are suspect. Kansas City's got 2 running backs missing from practice, so maybe people are reacting to that in the Fisher news. But wouldn't Mahomes throw more if he doesn't have his running back? So, that should lead to more points.
Plus, he's got the kid. He can put him in there. He can run, too. They find running backs on shelves. You just throw him in there.
And then Casey's given up a league worse 6 yards per carry. That's not great for stopping Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore offense, especially what they showed in week 2. In week 1, they threw it all over the place. Week 2, they showed he can run it all over the place. So you got Casey that can't stop the run. There's going to be a ton of points scored. I don't know why this total.
I don't get it. It looks fishy, though. A little bit fishy.
Yeah, I would say this about the total. One, I know this doesn't affect my thought process on it, but it is the currently third highest tracked over under on Action Network's bets that they look at for all the games. The highest being I tend to see Jacksonville on Thursday night when they went under, or everybody bet on the under. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, the money is more on the side of the under. And I think the logic, at least for me, and I took the over when it came out. I think I took it at 53, and then I thought it might keep running up, and it came back to earth, obviously. The logic on the under would be that Baltimore approaches this with the idea we're not going to take shots down the field or not take as many down the field. We're going to try and grind out runs with Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, mix Justice Hill in there, let Lamar run, eat up clock, keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes, wear down the Chiefs defense so we can score at their own will. And then, still, you want to be efficient with your drives, but not to be maybe as explosive. Does that mean is that a sound business plan, RJ?
No, because that's when you look up and you're down 14-0 and you're out of your game plan because you're not stopping him. You're just not. They're not going to stop Mahomes and company. So you're going to look up. Oh wait, we got to drive to a field goal, but they're up 14-3. And next thing you know, you got to get out of that. This game is going over. Not only that, I think the Chiefs are the best, one of my best bets too. I'm not buying into the Ravens yet. I got to see it to believe it. And I think defensively they're a little different than they've been over the years. They don't have the same swagger, same toughness, same ability to rush the passer. To me, it's a little concerning. So I got to see it to believe it.
I would go Ravens. I would lean to the Ravens plus 6.5, and it's actually come down on the line, so it might even get down under 6, but it's 6 right now.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of most people on this.
Yeah, but yeah, I just don't know how that Chiefs defense stops anybody with how they've looked, and the Baltimore has some defensive issues too. They're likely without Jimmy Smith again. Mahomes can pick apart that secondary, so who knows? But you got good safety play there as well, so maybe that takes into account. And I don't know. It's just you look for teams that can hit the back door. Like if Baltimore's down 12, can they cover the number? Of course, because the Chiefs can't play defense. So you could see them going down, getting a touchdown, the game ending.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fearful of it, but I still think Kansas City's going to get whatever they want, and I think that's going to put so much pressure on this young offense. I mean, they've been great so far. You can't take anything away from them.
You don't see it as like one of those Chiefs-Rams game where it's just back and forth.
No, I don't think the Ravens are going to. I don't think the Ravens. I got to see more. Look, the Ravens have looked great on offense. The Chiefs aren't good on defense, but they're better than the first 2 teams they've played on defense. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It's going to be crazy. So I'll lay the points.
Worth noting, the points through 2 weeks in the NFL, Football Outsiders compiles points per drive scored, right? Pretty obvious statistic. You don't need me to explain why that makes sense. The more points you score in a drive, the better off you are. Baltimore leads the NFL at 3.9 points per drive. The Chiefs are third at 3.24. Dallas second at 3.67. They're the only 3 teams above 3 points per drive. That's really, really efficient. And then when you look at time of possession per drive, Baltimore also first, 342 per drive, which is eating up a ton of clock. The Chiefs all the way down at number 10, but still, 302 per drive. I mean, that's really good to be top 10 there, and they are more explosive. So, again, like the only way I see it going under is if A, the red zone defenses for these teams step up and limit what they can do, or B, the Ravens just decide we want to eat as much clock as possible. Felt like that's what they did last year in Kansas City when they took them to overtime. I like the over too. I will take the Ravens though as one of my best bets. Would have liked it at 7. Love the Ravens in a teaser, especially if you can get it up to 16.5 in a 10.3 game teaser. But I'll take the Ravens. And you know what, RJ? I'm going to sprinkle on the money line as well. Not for purposes of our best bets here, but for people listening, I would sprinkle say $10 on the money line, maybe.
Yeah, I'll see why not. I mean, it's a high variance game. Just you don't.
I don't see it. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't see it. I think the Chiefs will put too much pressure on that team, and again, I got to see it to believe it against a good team. They've been great so far, but I got to see it to believe it.
I got to see it to believe it with the Chiefs defense.
Well, Chiefs defense isn't good, but the Chiefs defense is better than the first 2 they've played, and they're at home. Mm-hmm. So that's where I
see. Their home field advantage used to be a lot stronger than it is now. When I do my home field calculations, they aren't as good as you would think. Sometimes they're not bad, but I mean they're not like top of the league anymore.
It's still a tough place to play.
Right.
There's no, you can't second guess that whatever the stats say, it's still a tough place to play.
By the way, one thing just to keep in mind, I don't think it applies quite as much to this game as it did last week. I missed on this last week. I regret it. When the Chiefs were down 10-0 to the Raiders, because live betting works in like an algorithm style thing, it's not like somebody watching and say, don't do that. The Chiefs were a pick. You could get the Chiefs as a pick, like plus money to win the game outright. So if the Ravens come out hot and score early and maybe the Chiefs stall out on a drive and you want to try and take the Chiefs live, that's not a bad spot to do it either. But that's really the only bet that you would have right there. Raiders at Vikings. We do have a lot of best bets from that game. We'll recap those at the end. Raiders at Vikings. Vikings are -8.5. The over under 43.5. Pete, are you in or out on Derek Carr leading another early charge?
Well, it's not so much I'm in or out on Derek Carr. I'm in on Kirk Cousins this week because it's not a big game. If it was a big game, I would not take the Minnesota Vikings. This game is not a big game. He's at home. He will look like a great quarterback again or a good quarterback again, and then when they play another big game, he'll go back to being Kirk Cousins. I think this is a tough spot for the Raiders. I just don't I think the Vikings defense is still very, very good. I think Cook will run the ball, but Kirk Cousins will be the ultimate player who decides this game, and he will play very good football and put up big numbers. He was kind of, his coach came out and stood by him this week. He has no choice. Last week, big game, played like crap. This week, not a big game. We'll play very well. They cover the number.
Yeah, I don't know that it matters how much what Cousins plays. I don't have faith in the Raiders offense going up there doing anything against that defense in Minnesota. So Cousins could have another one of those 8 for 10 type games that he had in week 1, and they win by 16 running away. So the Raiders offense could be sluggish in the first half. It's a 1 p.m. game, so maybe you even take it. I don't know what the first half line is for the Vikings, but if it's like 4.5, I would take that too, thinking the Raiders would be slow starters. Vikings offense has had its own issue, but because, like Pete said, Cousins finds success against bad teams, I think I'm just going to lean on the under instead of playing the under as a best bet, but my lean would be to the under because I don't know how the Raiders score points.
So you don't like the side on the game?
No, it's a little too high for me.
Big number.
It's a good team to tease down. Like I would probably take them and tease them with the Packers and just expect those two strong teams at home to win by, at least.
I like that
points.
teaser. That's a good teaser. I like that.
Yeah, the Vikings, by the way, -4.5 in the first half. I like that. I like that a lot too, RJ. That's a good call. I got the Vikings as the best bet too. As we pointed out in this podcast, and as Kenny White pointed out before the season, the Vikings have a great home field advantage, one of the best in football when it comes to against the spread numbers. They have a great coach in Mike Zimmer when it comes to against the spread numbers. I think he'll be a little pissed off about how that Packers game went. I think they could have won that. I know Cousins looked like crap. I get it, but they could have won that game. They had multiple chances to win the game, right? Am I wrong? I'm not wrong.
No, they could have won the game, but they were outplayed for a lot of that game too. I mean, yeah.
For sure. They were down 21-0. I'm just saying they could have won the game.
You're just grasping on to your Super Bowl pick. That's all you're doing.
All I'm saying is that the Vikings could easily be 2-0 with a win in Lambeau, and then I don't think this line would be 8.5. I think it'd be like 11 or 12.
Are you standing by your Super Bowl pick?
Yeah, until they're eliminated, sure.
you like a Super Bowl? You like his?
Well, I mean, the rest of the NFC is falling apart, so I don't see why not. I mean, it's not going to be the Saints. It might not be the Eagles with all these injuries they're having, and so
Packers
down to Vikings and the Cowboys maybe.
This guy picked the Packers and the Patriots to make the Super Bowl for the 17th time in his 20 years.
Oh no, I was an idiot. I picked the Jaguars last year. Let's not forget that. I can admit it.
Your Packers pick looks good. I hope it's wrong, but it looks good. And bold call on the Patriots. I tip my cap to you. You went out of the limb.
Well, who'd you pick in the AFC? Pittsburgh. So it's really totally dead.
Oh, but no. My quarterback went down. That's what you did with Rodgers last year.
Look, you're grasping. Yes. Even if he hadn't gone down and won that game, would you still like your Super Bowl pick?
I don't think they were winning that game with him in there. They're a bad team. I think they're better with Mason Rudolph, but we'll get to that in a minute. Like I said, I got the Vikings here. Pete has the Vikings. RJ would lean under. The only thing that would worry me about that under, by the way, is that I could see Mike Zimmer looking at this game as an opportunity to maybe throw his wide receivers and his quarterback a bone with some play action shots down the field. Any chance that, because people are freaking out about Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen in fantasy with good reason. Like they're just not going to throw the ball a ton. They're down 21-0, and Kirk Cousins still couldn't get to 40 attempts. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe took some shots down the field here in order to appease the egos involved.
But what's more important to you, getting the win or getting the fantasy stats for those guys? I think you do what you need to do to get the win, and that's giving Cook the ball and letting him run roughshod like he's done the first time.
And we know what Zimmer wants to do. He wants to run the ball.
Of course.
What he wants to do.
I'm just saying.
I still think Kirk Cousins is going to play well in this game.
That's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Cousins had two shots connected, and then they roll them. Jets at Patriots. Woo-hoo, man. The Patriots are -22.5 for the first time. Pete, I got a question. What year did you start covering the NFL?
My first Super Bowl was 1989.
Yours was?
Yeah.
Okay, we were trying to decide if you were covering the league in '87 the other day because
I was doing stuff covering part time for the covering the Dolphins and doing stuff. Yes.
Okay, well, because
my first game in the NFL, covering the NFL, was in 1983 in Denver.
I was born in Denver.
In Denver. Yeah.
RJ was born in '86. You know that?
True story in Denver.
Correct.
Huh? Nobody knew Elway wasn't playing and Kubiak was starting. And Seattle they were playing Seattle because remember they used to be in the same division over there. And they came in and I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. He's not going to play. They're going to have trouble. And so I called a couple of my buddies who bet, and I told them. They didn't win because Kubiak won the game.
Ooh. So anyway, 1987. The reason I ask is 1987 was the last time and the only other time in NFL history that we've had two 20-plus point favorites in a single week. The difference is 87 strike season, right? Because in 87, it was one of the games was the 49ers
at New England, right?
No, at the Patriots, at the Falcons, excuse me. And Montana and all the guys had crossed the picket line and come back to play for the 49ers. But like Eric Kramer was still, NC State legend, was still starting for the Falcons after he'd gone undrafted. And so you had, I don't want to use the word for crossing a line because I don't know if it's, you know the word I'm talking about?
Scab.
Yeah, can you say that? I don't know. Is that offensive?
Yeah. No, okay. That's what they were.
At any rate, the Scabs were against the original players, and so they had two games that were 20-plus point lines. Neither team covered, but that was the last time. So this is the first time in a non-strike season we've had 20-point favorites, and the Patriots naturally are one of those teams. Only 11 teams in NFL history, or since the merger, have been favored by 20 points or more. These teams are 11-0 straight up, but 2-9 against the spread. What do you think about this Patriots game, Pete?
This is going to be the one that goes to make it 3-9 because I hate laying 22.5 points, but man, Luke Falk, are you kidding me? This Jets team is terrible. New England's going to throw all kinds of different looks at them, and look, you're going to look up and it's going to be 21-0, right? And then you say, okay, will they get to 28 or will they get to 30? And the answer is yes. It's going to be an easy cover. It'll end up being like 35-7. They will cover the number. That sounds like a lot of points. It is a lot of points in most NFL games. In this one, it won't be. And believe me, I hate laying that number.
Well, you say, yeah, this involves Luke Falk, and that's why it's this, and those. Well, what scenarios had to happen for them to get to 21 plus before? It's always a guy like Luke Falk that's starting on the other side. It's always a completely overmatched team, and they're still 2-9 against the spread. Just because teams, you're at odds with what the actual Patriots are trying to do in the game. Because if it's 22.5 and they're up 16, they're not going for 23 in the fourth quarter. They're just sitting on their lead.
Oh, I get what you say.
See a lot of those things.
You saw that last week in the Dolphins.
Right, that was one of the rare instances where it paid off. So that's why I'm not taking the Jets. I'm just staying away. I don't think you can lay this many points.
I hate laying it, but
put any money on the Patriots. Minus 22.5. I don't think you can bet the under because New England can score 50. Like that game.
I agree.
Last week, so I just stay away from this game. Not even bother with it.
I hate laying big numbers, but this is one I'm going to lay.
I can't see making this.
If you had to pick the game, what would you pick?
Jets.
You take the Jets. Would you, Will?
Yeah, I mean, I would take the Jets. And this is what I was trying to figure out because I was running. I'm going to publish a piece this afternoon about all those different how the historical trends of these teams. And I was thinking back to that 2013 game between the Jaguars and the Broncos. Remember the Broncos? You remember that Peyton's great year when the Seahawks slaughtered the Jaguars in week 3. The Jags were like, I think 4-12 that year under Gus Bradley. They'd won 2 games the year before, something like that. They lost their first 5 games by like an average of 26 points. Broncos won their first 5 games by an average of like 28 points. And the Broncos came out open as a 28-point favorite in week 6 at home against the Jaguars. And they won like 35-19. And it was actually kind of a close game. And I don't think the Jets are going to keep it close. But we should get C.J. Mosley and Quinnen Williams back, and we don't know that for sure, right? But, I mean, if their defense is back, they can at least limit it. And that game against the Patriots-Dolphins game was 23-0, and the Dolphins were driving to score and basically lock in that cover. And then they threw a couple pick sixes, and it went the other way. So I would take the Jets, but I wouldn't bet it. But if I was doing a picks league, I would take the Jets because history favors your side.
So you would take the Dolphins. You would take the Dolphins this week then.
Yeah. I think everybody's going to take the Cowboys. Everybody's going to take Patriots.
Yeah, I'm not touching. Those teams are awful.
I'd stay away from them. Let's be clear.
Dreadful.
I'd just stay away from
the game
altogether.
I think New England's going to.
I have to. I'm taking the Dolphins.
And I think part of Belichick would like to rub Gase's face in it and the whole deal. I don't think they like each other, and I just don't think this is going to be a good situation for the Jets. I think it's a bad team all the way around. They're very limited in terms of talent. The New England offensive line is a little concerning. That's a little concerning, but I think Scarnecchia will get them to play, whoever plays, above and beyond what they should.
So what's your strategy if you're the Jets in this game? You just come in, pin your ears back and try to get at Brady and hope you shake him up a little bit?
Yeah.
That keeps your game close?
Yeah.
So I mean, what if they do get a hit on him in the first half, and then all of a sudden, you're like,
I'm not taking the Jets. I just think the Patriots are going to win by 28 points in this game.
I will say just one more trend, and actually we can sort of segue this into the Dolphins and Cowboys game too, because that's the one we're going to talk about next. But so we're looking at those 11 games that I was talking about, where the 20 point spreads. We're going to take out 1987 because that's just a weird situation, right? Of the 9 remaining games, and remember those have gone 2-7. Only 3 of them have been in the first half of this first 8 weeks of the season, and those games are the favorite covered 2-1. So you almost want, because I mean, a lot of these games where these 20-point spreads happened were the 2007 Patriots, and it was late in the season, and they opened the season 9-1 against the spread, which is bananas. They covered 4 games in that 9-1 stretch with a two touchdowns or more spread, and then Vegas just started ramping up the totals so much because everybody was hammering the Patriots, and so the Patriots were terrible against the spread down the stretch that year because they were like 23 and 20, 24.5, 24. I mean, all this crazy stuff. So I just wonder if maybe this early in the season there might be some intrinsic value in the 20 points. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I agree to stay away, but just thinking about the trends. Worth thinking.
I wouldn't take the Dolphins, and I wouldn't probably lay the points on the Cowboys. But this one I think is going to be a division.
You know what happens if you parlay the 2 money lines? If you just try to take those huge favorites and parlay the money lines, $100 bet. What do you think it pays out?
$10,
like $4.
Yeah,
I think it's so low.
What would the money line on the 2 dogs pay?
Oh, something crazy, like 15 to 1 or something crazy.
Yeah, it's got to be like, if you put $100 on the money line on those 2 parlays, Brinson, parlay the 2 underdogs to win outright on the money line. Tell me what that pays if you put $100 on it.
It's like 20 grand. It's like 20 something.
If we do $100, on the
Dolphins to win and the Patriots to win in and the Jets to win in a parlay.
See, now I would argue too that this is where it's okay to Google. Oh my God, the Patriots, by the way, have moved from minus 3,500 to minus 7,000. That is, it pays less than that, I think. And I'm looking on an offshore, and then the Cowboys are minus 3,500. A parlay, a $100 parlay, would win $4.33.
No,
that's what I said.
That's what he said.
The other
side.
Dolphins and Jets.
If you took the Dolphins and the Jets on the money line.
Well, the Jets are plus 2,000, and the Dolphins plus.
Pete's trying to retire, so.
No.
By the way, just for the record, like 15.
How much would it pay? Figure it out. Put it in. Figure it out.
And I'm just talking here. 8,000. If you bet. Oh God. If you bet $100, it would pay $33,500.
Yeah.
Why not go throw that down? Go throw it down. I mean, that's
why is I go throw $100 in the water behind here in the lake over here? Come on.
I mean, I'm going to put 25 on it. Pay $8,375.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, no, not happening.
Half your rent on that mansion you got for a month, Pete. Anyway, so the Cowboys, no play on this game for any of us. The Cowboys are minus 21.5. It actually moved up since it was announced that Josh Rosen is the starter. Pete, smart or not smart going with Josh Rosen, first game in Dallas against what's a pretty good defense?
When does it matter? Can you just protect him in all 16 games and not play him? I mean, they're terrible. So, no, I'd play him, get on with it, find out what he does. Look, he's going to struggle. This team stinks. It's a bad football team. Fitzpatrick wasn't any good. He won't be any good. He wasn't good last week when he came in, although he made a couple good throws, I thought, last week. He's better than Fitzpatrick, but I'm taking Dallas in the game. I don't love it, though, because it's so many points, and I hate giving points, but there's not a chance in hell you get me to take the Dolphins.
Well, there's not a chance in hell you get me to lay 20 points in an NFL game, so I'm just staying away. This isn't college.
But if you had to pick one, which would you pick?
The Dolphins.
Look at these trends all favor Dallas, too. Like, I mean, Miami 0-7 straight up in their past 7 road games.
Well, they're not going to win. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry about the straight up. Don't worry about the straight up. But I think that's irrelevant.
How about the over under 47?
Yeah, I would go under.
I would probably go under too. I'd probably go under too. 34. 34-7.
This will be the Zeke game. This will be the Zeke gets 32 carries.
Yeah, 34-7.
205 yards.
34-7 is a good final. Yeah, go under.
I actually think this is the Tony Pollard game, but that's just. I don't think they paid Zeke. They won't want to give him 30 carries. Next up, Steelers at the 49ers. My Steelers. My man, Mason Rudolph. Chris Trapasso's man. This is Chris Trapasso SZN season right now. If Mason Rudolph goes off this season and has a great year and is like the Steelers' next franchise quarterback, Trapasso should get to do whatever he wants to Brady Quinn on live on HQ.
Yes, he should. And look, the way those quarterbacks are playing, Baker Mayfield hasn't been very good, has he? No. Right? Sam Darnold not playing. Josh Allen, Josh Rosen not playing. Josh Allen's the best of them right now.
Lamar Jackson.
I mean, there's a guy picked 32nd. That's pretty good.
Well, to be determined, but he is. Yeah, Lamar Jackson's the best right now. But if Mason Rudolph goes off, Trapasso should be able to dunk on Brady.
So how many weeks would he have to play well for then all of a sudden him to be like, say, a top 3 guy in that class? Like
Rudolph?
Yeah, Rudolph.
The rest of the season.
Like say if he he performs well and say 4 weeks in, like they're 3-1 and he's looking good, or they're like, well, he's definitely better than Rosen, obviously.
Correct.
Darnold's still out, so you'd probably say he's better than him because Darnold didn't show anything last year. So you're putting him third at worst, maybe. It depends on how Allen's
What if he goes and stinks up the joint on Sunday? But then I think you can't really judge him on one game either. Right. It's not fair to him. You got to give him a body of work. But if he does play well the rest of the season, Trapasso should be able to dunk on Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we should tape Brady's, get some duct tape and tape his arms behind his back, and he has to stand underneath a little basketball goal, and we'll get a trampoline. And Trapasso gets a running start and just gets to just go full Greg Paulus. I don't want to say teabag, but whatever you want to call it, on Brady. Hopefully
we can make Brady stand there and finally admit he's a member of the media, which he won't do.
The over 7-1 in the past 8 games following a straight up win for San Francisco. Pittsburgh has been terrible, as any Steelers fan will tell you, on the West Coast. But I do think that a lot of that, oftentimes, it feels like they're playing a bad team. It's not like they're going to play Seattle in a primetime game or anything. And I wonder if this team won't be more focused. Sometimes Mike Tomlin feels like he loses focus going to play a team like the 49ers or the Raiders, and they slip up in those games. I wonder if this, Sunday afternoon game, knowing their backs are against a wall, they got a new starter in there, if you will. I feel like I think they're going to play really well. I think the Steelers are going to win this game outright. I would do a moneyline parlay. The Steelers are plus 6.5 are one of my best bets. But I would do a moneyline parlay on the Steelers and the Ravens this week because that pays out pretty nicely.
I don't love the game, but I'd probably lean to the Niners. Home opener, long trip for the Steelers, first-time quarterback starting. Everything is against them. But they're the Steelers, and they've had a tendency to rise up in certain situations. But still, my lean is to the Niners. What would the spread be if Roethlisberger was in the game?
The spread would the look-ahead line was Pittsburgh -1.
Yeah, so it's 7.5 points.
So, yeah, if they would have lost that game to Seattle and San Fran looked as good as they did, maybe it's Pick'em, maybe it's San Fran.
So it's 6 points, 6 points for the quarterback. So, look, it's probably an overlay, but I probably lean to the Niners. Don't love it.
Yeah, I'm with Brinson. Best bet on the Steelers plus 6.5. He made a good point about the focus. Usually they're kind of sleepwalking when they go to the West Coast, but you can't do that now. It's your first game of Mason Rudolph. Everybody's probably going to be on their game. Minka's in. That'll give a shot to the defensive side of the ball. Think of the line moving 7.5. It's not too much based on how Rudolph looked. I think at the beginning of the season, 7.5 would probably be a good number, but then Big Ben looks bad, Rudolph looked good, and then 7.5 is probably too much to move that line. So San Fran has feasted on bad offensive lines, but Pittsburgh has one of the best in the game. So this isn't Tampa. This isn't one of those type of teams where you can just run through them and then get your
left side has been playing very well though.
Yeah, but it's still a good. It's a team with continuity. It's an offensive line I'm not that worried about. Pittsburgh's D's face 2 playoff caliber teams. They're going to be better moving forward. They're not going to be as bad as they looked against a New England or Seattle. So I think San Fran's probably overrated due to the competition they played, and it's going to be a close game. I don't mind betting the money line, but I think at worst it's a 3-point game.
No Joe Staley worries me a little bit too. That hurts there. So look, I don't love the game, but and normally in this kind of situation, I would take the Steelers. I'm just concerned about the rookie quarterback starting his first game on the road. That's concerning.
Are you in on the 49ers?
Second, but first time starter. You know what I meant? Huh?
Are you in on the 49ers yet, Pete? Where do you stand with them after their 2?
I mean, you win 2 road games in the NFL. It's hard to do to open a season. I got to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
Jimmy ready for a 49ers Bills Super Bowl?
Hey.
Both win 2 road games start the season?
Yeah. They both have a good doing that. They give them a chance to make the playoffs, though.
By the way, the other thing that occurred to me with that Dolphins situation, they got blasted, right? The Jaguars, that team in 2013, played the Broncos and the Seahawks, who were the most dominant teams in football. And then those 2 teams met in the Super Bowl. Just food for thought. if the Cowboys do the same thing to the Dolphins or the Patriots did to the Dolphins. Yeah, maybe they're the two best teams in football.
You're all in on the Cowboys now, huh? You jumped from the Vikings to the Cowboys, huh?
No. I'm just saying, like, the Cowboys have looked awesome.
2 weeks in.
Would you? I mean, I'm not insane enough to make the 49ers 11th in my power rankings, but I mean, yeah.
Where
were the Cowboys in your power
rankings? Fifth.
You're all in too.
Well, I didn't pick the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl. I didn't put them ahead of the Packers. Packers are 2. Vikings are down lower. I don't remember.
Like 9th. Get out of here.
No, they're not. They're not 9th.
They're not. Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. I don't think they are.
They're 4th. Just kidding. Saints Seahawks -4. Saints. Wow. Saints are 0-7 in their last 7 games overall against the spread. Not ideal. 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 games following an against the spread loss. Okay, that makes sense because they're 0-7. I'm gonna have to call you out. Bad stat, Debo. Sorry, buddy. And 0-5 against the spread against a team with a winning record. RJ, what do you think about the Seahawks here? And are you surprised that the line only moved the way? What was the look-ahead line? Are you surprised it only moved a certain amount based on the Teddy Bridgewater drop-off compared to what we saw in that line in Pittsburgh and San Francisco?
No, the look-ahead line was a pick-em, and then so it's moved 4 points. Before the season when I did my ratings, I said 3.5, maybe 4. Breeze hadn't looked quite as good. Bridgewater looked bad. That's my issue with taking the Saints in this game. That's why I'm making the Seahawks a best bet. Russell Wilson hasn't lost at home in September at all. Seahawks are 15-0 in September since 2010, 12-3 against the spread. Teddy looked bad. Now we've got a game and a half of data going back to week 17 of last year. He didn't look good either. So I liked him. I thought it was a good fit with him. He's going to have to show something now because time's kind of running out on him. The New Orleans defense allowed 28 and 27 points. Their stats were pretty bad across the board, while the Seattle offense played well on the road. I think if Seattle's getting to 24 points, at worst you're going to get a push because I don't think the Saints score more than 20 with Teddy Bridgewater in Seattle. So that's why I'm going to take Seattle with the best bet because I think 24 is pretty easy for them to get to.
I'm with you. I think Seattle's the play here, but the number looks funky to me. I think it should be more like 6. That's why I think because based on the way Bridgewater played last.
Well, it's the perception that Bridgewater's the best backup in the league, based on what they're paying him.
And he's not. And Taysom Hill isn't any good either. I mean, neither one of them are very good. So they're going to be problems scoring up there, even though Seattle's defense hasn't been great. Andy Dalton threw for 400 up there a couple weeks ago. But I just can't see this Saints team. Back-to-back road games on the West Coast, but they did stay on the West Coast, which helps. But still, the Drew Brees is that team. He's the guy. I can't see him keeping up. I'm with you. I like Seattle.
By the way, I got Seattle as a best bet here. I also like Michael Thomas as a DFS play. Teddy Bridgewater.
Seattle, by the way, throw Seattle in as a best bet for me too. The more that I think about it, somehow it looks funky though. The line looks funky to me a little bit.
I think they're overrating Bridgewater.
Yeah, probably.
It only looks funky because you see what the San Francisco-Pittsburgh line is. Like, I'm telling you, that's a crazy swing. That's 7.5 points or 7 points, whatever you want to call it. 7 points from
Vegas doesn't think much of Mr. Rudolph, do they?
Yeah, but like the Dolphins bench Fitzpatrick and that line went up. It went up a point. It went from 20.5 to 21.5 from Fitzpatrick to Rosen. So all right, we got Pete on Seahawks -4 as well. Is that our only consensus so far?
I think it is. Yeah. We don't have a consensus parlay this week. That thing.
No, we like the over on the Ravens Chiefs.
That's right. Did we have was our consensus parlay last week was rotten, wasn't it?
I think we might have hit 3 of the 4. We definitely missed because Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. We all have Pittsburgh as the best bet.
I think the other ones were good.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I'll see if I can find it. I wrote it down somewhere. Moving along, did I even say what the next game was? I'm doing a great job, aren't I? I should have scrolled back up. Oh, yeah, I know. We might have another one right here. Lions at Eagles. Eagles -6. Over under 45.5. RJ, there's a lot of people missing from this game, aren't there?
Yeah, line has dropped a point. It started at 7, but Philadelphia has so many injuries. I think it should have dropped more, and it might actually get a little bit lower. Looks like the top 2 receivers for the Eagles will be out now, Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. Goddard's probably going to be out too. Malik Jackson's already out on the defensive line. Timmy Jernigan just joined him. Several others on D are banged up. I mean, we knew coming into the season the Eagles had a lot of depth. That's why they were my Super Bowl team, because they had the depth to overcome injuries. They didn't have enough depth to overcome this many injuries in 2 weeks. So Detroit's played well despite missing a couple key guys, especially on defense. offense, I've been kind of impressed by what they've done. Lions pass offense is 7th in net yards per attempt. I think they'll give the struggling defensive back troubles if the Eagles defensive line doesn't get pressure on them. Philly's also on the road for a Thursday game in Green Bay after this, so they might be caught looking ahead a little bit. Detroit's obviously a weaker team. They're playing them at home. They could get caught a little bit flat-footed here thinking about that trip to Green Bay. So this game's going to be closer than people think.
Don't love it, but I'd probably lean to the other side a little bit just because I think Wentz is going to have some opportunities. The Lions have done some good things, and you mentioned their defense has been pretty good at times. I still think there are people in the secondary you could pick on. Slay hasn't been as good this year. That's another one. He hadn't played up to his level of expectations.
It's still early.
I know.
But who's he going to throw? Like Aguilar?
I know.
Is it Aguilar is going to
throw to Ertz a lot? He's going to throw to Ertz a lot.
He's going to have to.
He's going to catch 10 balls in the first half.
Catch 20.
Yeah. So, I like the Eagles. I don't love them. I'm a little hesitant. That's a big, bloated number for a team that's banged up. It probably will go down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, our parlay was Steelers -4, Giants under 43.5. That hit, right?
Yeah, 28-14.
Yep.
Barely. Broncos +2.5. That hit by half a point, and the Patriots under 49. That barely hit. So if the Steelers hadn't hosed us, they had a chance to kind of come back and steal something late.
We're going to hit one of these times.
Yeah,
close.
One time.
Yep. I got the Lions here as a best bet too. I bet them early in the week. I got them at 7. I still like it at 6. I just think Detroit is. You see, there's a little bit of a misperception here. I think they're 1-0-1, obviously, as the record states. They should be an easy 2-0. They should have taken care of Arizona. That game should have been.
Well, they probably shouldn't have beat the Chargers last week.
Week 2 wasn't an easy win, but it was.
Eckler fumbled on the 1-yard line.
And Philip Rivers. I'm not saying it was an easy win. I'm saying they should have.
Well, if you're going to say they should be 2-0, they shouldn't have won. They probably should have won the game they won.
They beat the Chargers. With the Chargers peeing down their leg in September is nothing new.
He said, wait, think about this, RJ. He says they should be 2-0, so they should have beat the Cardinals, correct? Yes. But they probably shouldn't have beat the Chargers either. So it evens out.
I think they should have beaten the Chargers. I thought that I picked them to beat the
What
Chargers.
was the score when Eckler fumbled on the 1-yard line? Weren't they up?
Game tracker in front of me.
Oh, it was like 10-6. It's a low scoring game.
They put them up at more than a touchdown, though.
I think so. At that
yeah.
point,
I mean, I'm not going to go.
Brinson, now you're replacing the Vikings with the Lions. I like it. Keep going in the division. You might get one right.
I think the Lions are underrated, is all I'm saying. And I don't think they should be a touchdown or 6-point underdogs to a Philly team that is banged up with a hurt Carson Wentz who's grabbing his ribs. He missed. The Eagles are so banged up they skipped practice on Wednesday. They just canceled practice. They canceled practice. That's how banged up they are. And Carson Wentz's media availability disappeared. They're people. Jeff McClain's like, I'll find out more about this. And I mean, look at this. Deshaun Jackson is going to be. I think he's. I don't know if he's ruled out, but I don't think he's playing this game. Alshon Jeffrey won't play. I don't think Dallas Goedert will play. Timmy Jernigan's out. They're missing a ton of dudes. And Carson Wentz is really good, and he's a magician on third down. But Matthew Stafford looks like he's completely healthy. Kenny Galladay's in the middle of a breakout. They can't guard anybody down the field. And Kerryon Johnson is going to have a nice little afternoon running the football. So I like the Lions to win the game. And again.
Win the game.
I think they could too. But with all those pass catchers, what's the game plan then? You got to stick to the running the ball. And when you run the ball, you can have lower scoring games. Easier chance for the underdog to cover because it's a closer game. So I think that plays into our +6 as well.
Exactly. And I'll tell you. Here's the Moneyline Parlay. It's an underdog Moneyline Parlay special. Everybody who listens, take it and tweet it to me. Just a small unit. But you take the Lions, the Steelers, and the Ravens. Those are the 3 teams that are going to surprise and win outright by 6-point spreads. And it pays, Pete, I've actually already got it up. It pays 33.5 to 1. Sprinkle.
So you're putting a hundy on it. Put a hundy on it.
Sprinkle 100 on it. Yeah, that'd be nice. If you put 100 on it, that pays Pete what? $3,372. So I like that. Last one, Pete. We'll get you out of here. Bears at the Redskins Monday night.
Hate this game. I hate this game.
Have you seen what's
prime time television?
Absolutely hate this game. It's anything and everything. What's that, Brinson?
Have you seen what happened to? Somebody tweeted this, and this is not a knock on ESPN. It's just unfortunate luck. The Monday Night Football schedule. With all these quarterback injuries, it is a disaster.
It's awful.
Like next week is Mason Rudolph versus Ryan Finley. If Andy Dalton
the way Trubisky's playing, he may as well have a backup in there. I mean, he looks like a backup. He's playing like crap. He looks awful. But
Bears 4 Redskins. What you think, Pete?
I mean, I hate the game. It's anything and everything I don't believe in football because I think the offenses are terrible. I think when you look at what the Bears do on offense, they've been struggling big time. Trubisky stinks. But I'm taking the Bears defense in this game. I'll lay the 4. I don't want to, but I'm not taking the Redskins at home with 4 points against that defense. I'm just not going to do it.
They should flex this game to like 1987. I lean to the Redskins +4 just because I can't lay points with that Bears offense on the road.
I don't want to.
Point. My best bet is under 41.5. I don't know how they're scoring points in this game. Mitchell Trubisky on the road against a solid defense. I mean, Chicago's 30th in points per drive on offense, 4th on defense. Washington D struggled so far, but they played the Eagles and the Cowboys, 2 pretty good offenses. So tough defensive test for the Washington offense, though. I wouldn't count on a bunch of scoring. I mean, this game is going to be one of those like 16-13,
terrible
games. So I'm taking the Redskins +4. I'm definitely taking the under.
Yep, I took the under when it was 42. So my question for you would you still take it at 40 or 40.5? Because it's already down to 41 now. By the time people listen on Friday, I mean, maybe it'll linger around. I would bet that by Monday it's down to in the 30s.
I would. We don't know what happened in Titans Jaguars. It's coming out Friday for people, but that over-unders got down to 38. I kind of like the over in that because I kind of like what I've seen from Minshew. I would have more confidence in this game going under than that one, and that one's already 2 points under what we're looking at right now for Bears Redskins.
Is this like the Broncos game for the Bears? Like right, 13-12, 17.
Like there's going to be 2 touchdowns total
at one point, and then they score few. Yeah, I just think for me, I don't think there's going to be a lot of points either.
By the way, Pete, I found out what you were doing this morning when they couldn't find you at the office.
What's that?
David Purdom tweets that a better placed a 2-team moneyline parlay last night at Caesar's Palace. You risked $89,000 to win $4,050 on the Patriots and Cowboys.
That might be one of the 5 dumbest bets I've ever seen in my life.
I don't think it's that dumb. I mean, you got to be rich to do it. But like, if you're
going to win $450. If you're rich, what's $450?
Right. If you have $89,000 to bet on that parlay, what is the extra $4,000 going to do for you?
What is it? $89,000 to win $4,000? It was.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Why is he risking? Why? I mean, but like, why just $89,000? Is there some sort of? It's got to be like a group of like.
It's really stupid. If the guys that's the thing.
Probably lost the rest of it.
There's a lot of rich people who aren't very smart. And how they get rich, the old-fashioned way. They inherited it.
All right, well, Pete, we have to. We're gonna pass you along to our heirs. The next show that you're scheduled to do. We're gonna take a break right now, but let's get your best bets first. You want to walk us through them? Or you want me to do it?
No, there they are. I got the over in the Kansas City game. I got the Chiefs because I don't believe in the Ravens just yet. I'm taking Kirk Cousins because I'm a believer because it's not a big game. I'm taking New England minus the 22.5, even though I hate to lay big numbers. And I'm also taking Seattle because I think New Orleans. That number
favorites.
That I know. I'm favored guy this week. I'm all in on favorites, and I like dogs. I'm usually a dog player.
A lot of favorites.
Before we let you go, last week RJ and I. We're like, we think Pete would be in on the Patriots under, so we wrangled that in to get a 3-team parlay. Are you okay if we bring you in on something else?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yep.
But for now, we just have the 2 games on the under, on the Chiefs over and the Seahawks -4. We'll see after the break if we want to add to that parlay. All right, time to dig a little deeper into the picks. Pete Prisco has departed us. R.I.P. Pete. R.J. White and I still here. We're still holding down a video. You can watch the video version of this podcast at youtube.com/CBS Sports. It is up before the audio version. You're desperate to have us invade your life at an earlier date than we normally do. It's usually up on Thursday afternoon. So maybe you don't want to watch Jaguars Titans or whatever else is on Thursday. Maybe you want to watch me and RJ talk about picks. Do it. Go click the link. Do both. Like we said last week, sync the video with the audio on like your Google device or whatever, your Amazon Echo, and have us going on multiple platforms. That is best for us. So Pick Six Podcast people, you do your thing. You're great at it. Let's move on to the picks though. By the way, we're doing the best bets parlay, the Pick Six parlay. The first 2 legs that we mentioned before, Chiefs over 53 and the Seahawks -4, excuse me. We are also adding, per Pete as he departed the set, the under on the Redskins Bears on Monday night. RJ, are we taking that at 41?
I believe it's 41. Let me look at what we have right now in front of us.
I think it's 41 right now.
I see 41s and 41s and a half, but 41's pretty common. Let's just say 41.
Let's do it at 41 for the sake of, transparency.
We're not trying to cheat, y'all.
No, we're trying to make all money. One of these are going to start hitting. I'm telling you, they're not like we went 3 for 4 on it last week and could have easily gotten it if Ben Roethlisberger hadn't been hurt. Speaking of unders, Broncos at Packers. Packers -7.5. The over/under is 43. I've had my heart broken a little too much by the Broncos here, RJ, to dive on Broncos against the spread. They should have won outright last week. They should have they did cover unless you got it really late. I like this under though. 43. The Packers defense is very good. The Broncos defense is better than it's played. It has actually kept opponents to a low scoring output. Although they haven't produced a sack yet this year. I think they'll get one this week at Lambeau. I like the Packers to stay inside the number. The Broncos to stay inside the number, but I don't like it as much as the under. I took it at 43 when it came out. What say you on this game?
I also lean to the under. I think my stronger leans on the Packers on the other side of you. Packers D's been awesome, -1 big Dalvin Cook play. Aside from that, they've just been locking it down. Broncos offense is first in average time and plays per drive. You cited that stat a little earlier. They're only 19th in points scored per drive, though. So they're keeping the ball. They're running all the plays. They're doing what they want to do on offense, and they're just not scoring any points. So that's just a failure of trying to get down and get into the end zone and get the points that you need. Broncos defense got gashed by Derek Carr in a much easier environment. When they were on the road the first time. Now they're on the road against Green Bay. I think a Green Bay offensive line being healthy, they're going to score at least more than the 24 points the Raiders manage. Is going to be Green Bay's breakout game to me, even though Denver does have a solid defense. When you take into account that Green Bay has a 4-point home field advantage in my ratings, I think I would make this line in the double digits. I'd probably make it 10, maybe even 11. So I think there's a lot of value with -7.5. I mentioned that teaser earlier, teasing the Packers and Vikings. Those are the two clear teaser teams because they're in that 7.5, 8.5 range. If you tease them both down under 3, I think that's probably going to cash.
I like that teaser actually because I do think the Packers will win. I think the Broncos are going to keep it close though. I'm telling you, Joe Flacco's been playing better than people believe. He said to himself for the 750th time this week to make himself actually believe it.
Right. When it's 17-0 and you're like, why did I take Joe Flacco in Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers? You just remember.
And I will 100% slack you that about at 1:45 on that is an early game, right? 1:45 on Sunday. Bengals at the Bills. That's going to be a CBS game, right? The Bengals 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 road games, as John Breach pointed out to us in our work chat. The Bengals lost by an average of 5 points last year in the road games, excluding non-primetime games. Andy Dalton very good on the road in non-primetime games. Bills -6. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, 6 is a lot for a Buffalo team that still has stuff to prove. They look good in the first 2 weeks on the road, but their Jets and Giants aren't going to be good teams this year. Before that Buffalo rally in week 1 where they won the game, this line probably would have been -3, right? Going into the week 2, look ahead lines before week 2 happened. So would you move it 3 points based off what happened in week 2 with the Bengals looking terrible against San Francisco? I think that's probably a little bit too much of an overreaction. Bills pass D's been stellar. They're a league best 4.4 net yards per attempt. Since he can't run, league worst 1.8 yards per attempt. So those are two things that say since he's going to try to throw the ball, but Bills are really good at defending the D. But even with that, Buffalo facing New England at home next week, could get caught napping here. I think they do win this game, but I think it's a lower scoring. They win by 3 or 4. Cincy keeps it close. Cincy, I do have confidence in being able to cover the back door if needed, if you're going to go with the Bengals, because Dalton has looked good in the first 2 weeks. So my lean would be the Bengals. I'm not going to make it a best bet, though, just because the Bills have looked pretty good.
The Buffalo Bills in a trap game for the division title, just like you saw before the season. You knew that was coming.
Of course. 2 weeks in, I knew the Bills were going to look like a playoff team.
I think the Bills are good. I'll take the Bills -6. It's not as a best bet. I'd go Bills if I'm taking it. I think the strength of the Bills is I think they can get pressure on Andy Dalton, and he just hasn't. They looked bad against the 49ers when they got pressure on him. Maybe some garbage time yardage for him. Falcons at the Colts. Colts -1.5. The 1-1 Colts over under 47. What do you think here?
My best bet is going to be on the Falcons. I think it's going to be contingent upon the injury report. We saw Marlon Mack didn't practice to start the week. Darius Leonard dealing with a concussion. Those are 2 huge losses for them, one on each side of the ball. I don't think Pierre Desir is going to play. That's also bad for NDD against a group of receivers that, were one of the better ones in the league with Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. The Indy pass offense has been awful. I'm not sure they can pick the slack up if Mack is out and you can't lean on the run as much as you do. That Atlanta D has actually been solid. They're just done in by bad turnovers by the offense and getting put in bad positions because the D is 8th in net yards per pass attempt and 8th in yards per rush attempt. So both sides of the ball, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to defend, run, and the pass, they're actually playing pretty well. So I think Atlanta's probably a little bit better than what we've seen so far. What their 1-1 record would indicate. I would take them to go into the Colts in an indoor stadium, so it's a road game, but they're playing indoors, and to probably come out here with a win.
I got the Colts lean that way, but I don't love it. The injuries are scaring me. If Marlon Mack's out, it's like, it's Nyheim Hines and Jordan Wilkins running the ball. That's a red flag. Mack's been really good, and Quinnen Williams is an awesome blocker up front. But I like the Colts in the spot. I wouldn't be surprised if this game went over either. I know you'd like Atlanta's defense, but yeah, Matt Ryan's not that great. By the way, the Colts don't have until November 17th. Or
if the Colts have to lean on their pass game, though, I don't know if it's going to go over because so much is set up through their run game. And if Marlon Mack is out, then that's a little bit of an issue for them because can Jacoby Brissett throw the ball downfield and score the kind of points you need to get this game over? I don't know.
Yeah, this is Jacoby Brissett podcast. If this wasn't the Pick Six podcast, it'd be the Jacoby Brissett podcast, or the QBU podcast. Giants at Bucks. Once upon a time, the Buccaneers drafted a quarterback at NC State. That's a segue for you. Daniel Jones, an ACC quarterback, not an NC State quarterback from Duke. He will make his first career start. The Eli Manning era is over, as we covered numerous times over the course of this week on the podcast. The Buccaneers are 6.5-point favorites. They're 1-1. They might be the best bet to win the NFC South at 6-1. And they're going to have a hungry Giants team coming in looking to make Daniel Jones look good. Do you think a rookie quarterback can go on the road in Tampa and pull off the upset? Over under here, 47.5.
I don't see why not, because Tampa's not that hard of a place to play. I would lean to the Giants just because Buccaneers aren't a good enough team to be like the Bills. With their -6, I think is too much. They haven't proven enough to be -6. The Buccaneers, I wouldn't make them 6.5 against anybody but the Dolphins at this point. So I'm not going to play this game though. Both teams can be Jekyll and Hyde on both sides of the ball. Bucks D I know look good through 2 weeks, especially against the run. They're third in yards per attempt there. So the Giants are going to want to do everything they can with Barkley, but the O needs to get healthy and give Daniel Jones some help because the receivers just don't look good right now. I think the Giants D is bad enough for Tampa to win. I'm not sure they cover because if Daniel Jones sparks that offense, you could be seeing a little bit of a higher scoring game. And I don't know, 6.5 is a lot for the Buccaneers to cover because I just don't know that they're that good. They had a win total of 6 coming into the season, 6.5. So you're putting them, putting them up on a pedestal. I think at this point, kind of elevating them higher than what their status has shown so far.
Have you seen Toy Story 4?
No.
Okay, I don't know how many people have seen this who are watching this video have seen Toy Story 4, but listening too. Can you throw that picture of Daniel Jones back up here? I don't want to tweet this because I'm worried it comes across a little too mean. But Daniel Jones looks a lot like Forky. And if you don't know who Forky, RJ, you can't laugh at that because you haven't seen it. But Forky, look, if you Google Forky Toy Story 4, and then see what he looks like in that Daniel Jones headshot. Anyway, it's kind of mean. I feel bad about it, but it's a bad look. He doesn't look like that. He looks like Forky. Moving along, so I don't want to keep talking about it. I would take the Giants too. 6.5 is too much for a Bucs team that played like crap against the Panthers and just got lucky because Carolina was trotting out not washed up, but just to take him out to pasture and shoot him for the year. Cam Newton. Texans at the Chargers. The Chargers -3. I think it's actually bumped up to 3.5 on the market. It's obviously we use Westgate lines for the Super Contest. Over under 47.5. Chargers have a home field advantage, RJ. 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6 home games. 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games in week 3. 0-3-1 against the spread in their last 4 games in September. They've like improved from talented team that loses September games to talented team that can't cover September games now.
Yeah, the Texans are pretty healthy. Chargers definitely aren't. You said 3.5s are out there. I know it's 3 in most spots. It depends on what juice you're going to get. It seems like it wants to go to 3.5 because I know the Westgate's up to -120. My lean would be to the over here. Keenan Allen was limited in Wednesday, as things just keep on getting worse for the Chargers, but I think they'll have enough there to score some points against the Texans defense that I don't think is very good. Chargers, as you said, don't have a great home field advantage. If I was leaning one way, I'd hope it get to 3.5 so I can take the Texans. I think both offenses can bounce back after bad weeks last week and score some points this week. So my lean would be to over 47.5, but I'm not that happy about it.
By the way, this over has already climbed up to 48.5 and 49 in certain spots. Would you take it at that number?
At 49, it's a stay away. I would think about it at 48.5, but 49, okay. At that point, 50 is a lot for these teams.
I maybe I saw 3.5 in a Pick'ems league that I do. Like you can do your own office pool on CBSSports.com. By the way, you should try that. And if you're into joining stuff and you want to join something else, you should join the Pick Six Podcast Facebook group. I will personally answer every single one of your lineup questions on Sunday or throughout the week. Check before all the primetime games. And if you've got a gambling question, you can throw it in there. Too, don't DM me lineup questions. Stop doing it. I don't want to answer those. But if you go to the group, go to facebook.com, search Pick Six Podcast. It'll pop up. I promise you'll get your question answered. There's actually a pretty cool community going on in there, and people jump in there and answer their questions as well. Rams at the Browns. Oh, man, last game.
We escaped Panthers-Cardinals.
I messed that up. Sorry. Panthers-Cardinals. Cardinals -3. That line just came back up on my local. I grabbed Cardinals +3 and the Cardinals money line before the Cam Newton news came out. And I'm not I am bragging, but I'm not bragging for just to brag. The point being is if you ever see a situation like that and it looks like the quarterback might be out and you can get to your book fast enough, go get it down and then come back and window it the other way. Because now if it ends up Cardinals -3, I'm going to have a 6-point window. If somebody wins by 3 points or less, I got a chance at cashing both of those. And I'm going to hit the money line on the other side. And then I'm guaranteed to win like, I don't know, $20 or something. It's a free $20. So you take that, right, RJ?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I handicap the game as it is when it's happening. So if I thought that there was some, if Kyle Allen, I thought the Panthers were going to win this game, I don't know that I necessarily just take the Cardinals side to take them, thinking that I'm going to bet at the other side and try to hit a window. If I just think the Panthers are the better team, I just take the Panthers. I don't mind to play on the Cardinals if Cam sits out. It's 2.5 everywhere now. So if you want to play the Cardinals, it's fine. Kyler was solid against a good Ravens team. I like him at home here. Cam to Kyle Allen, a healthy Cam to Kyle Allen is a massive downgrade. And I can't trust Carolina to win on the road. So probably going to be a stay away from me, but at 2.5, I would at least think about the Cardinals.
All right, but what would you do? All right, so let's say you're me and you have Cardinals +3. What are you doing? You just riding it out?
Then, yeah, just win your money. I mean, you have the best of the line for sure.
Yeah, by 6 points.
So why only try to that window and put the Panthers down at +3 is if you think they're going to stay within 3 points without Cam Newton. I don't see any reason why to do it otherwise. I mean, you have the advantage right now. Just why are you sacrificing money off the advantage? You're going to win that bet more often than not.
That's probably true. I did that on the Browns. I took the Browns at -2.5 when the Darnold news broke. I was waiting on the line to get to Jets Browns -7. I was going to take the Jets +7. It never happened, so I just wrote out the Browns -2.5, and that worked out pretty well. So maybe I'll do the same thing again this week.
Yeah, just write it out.
Okay, so one of my best bets is the Cardinals +3. Don't think you can get that anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of a fake line. So good job. I see how you're 7-3 and winning in the best bet. So good job with that.
Fake news. Rams -3 at the Browns. Over under 49. I know that you've got do you have a best bet here as well?
Yeah, my best bet is the Rams -3. I don't want to read into the win over the Jets too much for Cleveland. They look not like the dominant team, but, Trevor Siemian was awful. The Jets were just playing from behind the whole time. I think Cleveland still has plenty to prove, especially on offense. The Rams offense keeps chugging along, plus they have the big coaching advantage here. I'll take McVay over Kitchens anytime. Rams are pretty healthy, while 8 Browns missed the first practice with injury. The right tackle, Chris Hubbard's in a walking boot. Njoku, we know, is out. Several other issues to key personnel. I give the Rams secondary a better chance of slowing down the Cleveland receivers and vice versa if we're just talking about when they're healthy. Now with the injuries concerns on Cleveland, coming out of that win that probably felt a little fraudulent because of just the way the Jets were dealing with injuries, I think the Rams are probably the better position team here, and I would take them to win by 3 pretty easily.
I like the Browns when the line first came out, +3 home on a primetime dog, but the more I think about it, the harder it is to sort of get there with the Browns, mainly because LA went on the road, in week 1 and took care of business against a Panthers team that played really well. We agreed. We don't think Cam Newton was hurt again until week 2. And then they, played a Saints team that lost Drew Brees. So I think they're probably being discounted because of the quarterback injuries. But the Saints defense is a lot better than people think. I'm starting to come back around to LA. I don't know what I'm going to do in my Pick'ems league, but no best bet here for me. But I think I might agree with you on the Rams. I like the points at home on a Sunday night. I don't want to bet against Baker in primetime, but man, that Browns offensive line is terrible. And if it's banged up, it's going to make for a long night for Baker Mayfield.
And he hasn't looked that good either. I mean, Baker on his own, he's not played that well. And, of course, they had that easy win, but you take it to maybe his eyes are dropping too quickly because he knows the offensive line is trash. But whatever it is, he's just not playing well. He doesn't look like the guy that everybody fell in love with last year. So you can say sophomore slump. You could say whatever you want. But I don't think that we need to put Baker Mayfield up on a pedestal and say he's like a top 6, top 8 quarterback like he was being drafted in fantasy leagues at this point.
Dude, people drafted him in like the 5th or 6th round.
Right.
Yeah, you're toast if you did that. Okay, let's recap our best bets. First, Pete Prisco, just so you have it on here for the podcast and the video. Baltimore, Kansas City over. He also has the Chiefs -6.5. The Minnesota Vikings -8.5. The New England Patriots -22.5. And the Seattle Seahawks -4. Old popular Pete Prisco popping up with some faves. RJ, do you want to recap yours?
Yeah, I got the Lions +6. I got the Falcons +1.5 at Indy. Seattle -4 against New Orleans at home, just like Pete. Got Pittsburgh to keep it within 6.5 at San Francisco. Got the Rams -3 at Cleveland. Taking the over on the Baltimore-Kansas City game at 53 points. Taking the under on Chicago and Washington at 41.5 points.
Pittsburgh and San Francisco, I got Pittsburgh +6.5. I also have Baltimore +6.5. Excuse me. Yes, Baltimore +6.5. I had the Lions +6, and I would parlay all 3 plus the points, and I would sprinkle a little bit on all 3 on a money line parlay. I think those 3 teams are going to win outright. I have Minnesota -8.5 like Pete, Seattle -4 like Pete and RJ, and the Green Bay Denver under, and the Chicago Washington under. So the 3 games that we agree on, because we didn't find one that we loved enough to bring Pete in on at the end. We've got the Chicago Washington under. That's a Monday night game. This is the Pick 6 parlay. Put all 3 of these in a parlay. Post your tickets to the Facebook group. Tweet them at us at RJ White1, at Will Brinson, at Prisco CBS. We have the Seahawks -4, the Chiefs over, and on Monday night the Redskins Bears under. It'll be fun. We'll forget the first 2, and then we'll have a big old dance party on Monday, talking about how we're going to win that parlay on Monday night. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here, RJ?
Good luck this week. I'm 7-3 in the Super Contest. I hope I can get 4 or 5 winners here and go into week 4 looking really good. But this is when it starts to get tough. You get week 1, you just have to kind of know the strengths of the league, and if you're better than what the market is, then you're going to be good. Then you play against overreactions in week 2, and now the actual game starts in week 3. So we'll see how it is from here.
Where does 7-3 put you in the total standings of the Super Contest?
I don't know exactly. I didn't check it after the Cleveland game, but everybody and their brother had Cleveland, so I would think that I was like 94th going into that, tied for 94th or 95th. So I would think I'm probably in the 200 to 300 range, just because all these people jumped me with Cleveland.
All right. Well, that's right. Everybody had Cleveland -2.5. Well, we were wrong about that one. That's fine. We're wrong sometimes. We were right about the Cleveland covering, but we were wrong about the value in going against him. At least you didn't take the Jets, like Pete Prisco said too. All right, that's it for the Pick 6 Podcast Picks Edition. I'm Will Brinson for RJ White and Pete Prisco. Make sure and subscribe, rate, and review, and we will make sure and check out our Thursday night recap, separate podcast now moving forward, and we'll be back on Sunday night to recap everything. Thanks as always for listening and for watching.